Hello, everybody, and welcome to the MBA Draft Analysis for the Carolina Pantherians. Now, the Carolina Pantherians are a team that are in a bunch of leagues, but this is going to be our biggest challenge yet, because the people in this league are very good, and they're very good at countering the opponent and bringing what they need to bring each week. And it's not going to be easy to even make playoffs. So right off the bat, I knew I needed to spend some time to think about what team I was going to draft. For anybody who doesn't know, everybody needed to draft 3 OU. Well, you were able to draft 3 OU, 3 UU, 3 RU, or 3 NU, but you could take picks from lower tiers in the higher tier. So if you wanted a UU Pokemon from in the OU round, you could do that. You could take that. Um, but anyways, I knew I needed a good draft. A couple of things I was looking for were versatile Pokemon that were that could just hit very hard. This isn't as bulky as a draft as you might notice when we keep going, but there are definitely points of bulk throughout, which are very good. And overall, I think that we really hit a home run when we did this draft. I think it's a very good draft, and hopefully, it can put in work. So right off the bat, I picked a Pokemon that I thought I could be very good with, and I use it a lot. And that Pokemon was Heatran. Heatran's nickname is going to be Glasses Jacket Shirt Man because it spits super hot fire. Um, And this thing does so many things. It sets up rocks. It roars. It's got some incredible stats. A special attack of 130. And sorry, I'm getting message on Skype. And def and defense of 106 with HP of 91, and it's super good. It gets stealth rocks. It gets moves like Eruption, Magma Storm, Lava Plume. It gets Earth Power, Flash Cannon, all sorts of stuff. It gets Toxic. It can even get like Metal Sound, Iron Defense if I'm feeling it. It gets, of course, all the hidden powers, and it can actually make good use out of them. It gets Will-O-Wisp, Taunt. It just does so many things so good, and it's just such a good mon in general. Like it's got that times 4 weakness to ground, and I've noticed more over time how bad times 4 weaknesses are in league format. But I don't know. I'll see. Heatran's just a very good Pokemon, and I'm really glad I got it. Its role is gonna be kind of to take a hit, and deal a ton of damage back, or just take hits all around. It's a wall, or it could be Scarfed. I might run Scarf-Tran a little bit, but anyways, our next pick is a Pokemon that's been on a team of ours before, and that is Masterpiece or Azumarill. Now Azumarill does not have the best stats at all. Its best stats is HP, which is 100, so it's just good enough to set up subs on things. Its defense is okay. It's not horrible, but its offensive stats are the shittiest things on the earth. Until you give it huge power. This thing is so bulky. You can run 252 Adamant. That hits 218. Now I'm going to put this on the screen really quick. That's 218, right? So what huge power does is it multiplies that by 2. Do that, and you've got 436 base attack. That is nuts. If you combine the fact that this thing is a water type, which is OP, it's bulky, which is OP, it's a fairy type, which is OP, it gets moves like Play Rough, which are very powerful, Waterfall, or Aqua Tail if I'm being a man, it even gets Aqua Jet, and it gets stuff like Belly Drum, Power Up Punch, Superpower, Knockoff. It's just such a good Pokemon. It does so many things. I've used this a lot. I have some pretty cool sets I want to try out with it. But we're gonna get into that. So right off the bat, you can see I'm forming a fire, water, grass core, but I'm also starting to form a fairy, dragon, steel core. And if any of you can see where I'm going with that, I'm going to get into that in a sec. So our next Pokemon was, I wanted Thunderous Eye, but instead we got Thunderous Therian. And so in the draft, as Thunderous Eye got sniped from me and I just stood there and watched, it was at that moment that I realized Thunderous Therian was actually better for my draft. Why? It's got the amazing wall breaking potential I'm going to need for this draft. It hits 145 base special attack. That's just insane. Like, there's no other way to put it. It's just insane. Its speed isn't bad. It outspeeds base 100s, which is amazing. And its attack is also pretty good if you consider that it's gonna be mostly a special attacker, true. But it gets all sorts of setups. It gets like agility, it gets bulk up, it gets nasty plot. It gets so much. And then its coverage moves are incredible. It gets U-turn and Volt Switch. It gets both the main physical electric moves. It gets main fighting moves like Superpower and Focus Blast. It gets poison coverage. It gets knockoff. It gets Grass Knot. It gets Foul Play. It gets Dark Pulse. It gets just so much good stuff. Like, generally good stuff. It gets Steel Coverage and Iron Tail in case there's a fairy, which I want to just, like, destroy. It's just very, very good to have. I just love it. It's so powerful, and it's just what I wanted for this team. Oh, and also, we're gonna be naming it, I actually forgot what we're gonna be naming it, because, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna call it Linoa for now. But anyways, our next pick was going to be Mamoswine. And Mamoswine is going to be called Mamoswine? Okay, there are two main reasons why I picked Mamoswine. One reason is because it's a fucking monster. It hits like a fucking truck. It hits, like, that's the only way to put it. It hits like a fucking truck. Like, base 130, and then give it a life orb, and then, like, Ice Shard, Priority Earthquake, Stab Earthquake, Icicle Crash. It's so good. Also, people were pointing out how if you have Ice Stab, you're pretty much going to win. Like, if you have Ice Stab, it's super, super easy to win, because everybody has teams that are super weak to ice, including myself. So that's kind of why I needed this. There are two other teams with ice stuff, and I faced them the first 2 weeks. That is Weavile, and that is Mega Glalie. Those are the biggest ice problems that I see. So I have to think of a plan to get rid of those. But anyways, Mamoswine, it also gets rocks, it gets thick fat, and just its overall ability to hit harder can be a scarfer. It gets freeze dry in case I like need it or something. That's just really good. It can make use of hidden powers actually decently, which is kind of surprising. Well, its special attack isn't horrible, honestly. 70, well, it actually is kind of horrible. Fun fact, it gets Reflect and Light Screen, so if I want to run a support set with, like, Belly Drum Azumarill, then I could do that. It's pretty nifty. It can also be a Focus Sash Endeavor lead set. I'm getting into too much detail. Point is, Mamoswine's a monster. So, at this point in the draft, I wanted to reveal my big pick. So for those of you who didn't know, we got three potential OU, 3 potential UU, and 3 RU and 3 potential RU and 3 NU. 3 or more NU. And so my plan was, and only one of those picks can be a Mega. So as you see, we did not actually get an OU Mega. My plan this entire draft was to grab Mega Sceptile. Mega Sceptile is the definition of a fucking monster wall breaker, and it can even sweep in the end if I needed to. This thing is so fucking good. Like that's all there is to it. It's just so fucking good. It's super underrated because it'll die to anything, basically. It'll die to an ice shard, like ice shard from anything, like even like an ice shard from like a smeared gold. It'll die to it. Like, that's the only way to put it. But I got one of the best ice shard users, and this thing gets, let's see what it gets. It can be physical or special, because it gets Swords Dance if I want to boost its physical attack. It's steel coverage in that area, so fairies are no problem. It gains the dragon type, so Dragon Pulse is super useful. It also moves like Energy Ball, Giga Drain, Leaf Storm. They're all super useful. It gets fighting moves, fighting coverage. I can even get Quick Attack and Pursuit if I need it, which I might actually use Pursuit in a battle. That could be cool. There's just so many things this thing can do. Oh my god. I'm like looking at it now and it's just scary. Yeah, a ton. These two mons, they're both special attackers. They both have so much coverage. Like, so much coverage. Like, it's gonna be scary for my opponents to prep for them each week. And even this thing and this thing. In fact, all of these 5 Pokemon are just super threatening. Now that I think about it. So, this thing, my main draft plan, and now I've got a Steel Fairy Dragon Core and a Fire Water Grass Core. And yeah, okay, Sceptile might not be the best thing in a core. You always need that super offensive part of a core, because Azumarill is also very offensive, but this is just a very offensive team so far. So I wanted something that could be bulky, and I could rely on it to be brought like every week, pretty much. I'm not going to bring it every week, but if I needed to bring it every week, I could. And that was my Cofagrigus. Cofagrigus is so fucking fat. It gets 105 base def and 145 defense. Yeah, this is not good, but like, that's where Pain Split comes in. Like, it just does more damage with Pain Split because of how mediocre its HP is. It can also be like stuff like Trick Room, Calm. Oh, and I should also say its nickname is going to be Grievous. And it just gets so much stuff. It gets a Will-O-Wisp, it gets like Trick Room with Nasty Plot, or Calm Mind gets Haze, which Haze, I've seen it in use before. It's very good. Knockoff, and its ability Mummy is super useful in this format. Because if somebody has something like Mega Glalie, which, fun fact, somebody does have it, and it actually destroys my team, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to bring this thing for him. Spoilers. But if they have like a Mega Glalie, and they have something with like Refrigerator, Pixelate, or something like that, which I don't even think Mega Altario is drafted, or anything like that, but like, all sorts of scary stuff was just drafted. And, and I needed something that could check a bunch of stuff. And apparently I sniped a bunch of people with this pick, which is also really good. So overall, Cofagrigus is a great Pokemon in general. So that's my first couple of picks. Oh, by the way, I should probably say, you'll notice that there are only 2 UU picks. That's because we were given the opportunity to take a pick from RU and use it in our UU picks, and like so on and so forth. So the next Pokemon we drafted was Hitmontop. Reason for this is I don't have any hazard removal. Hitmontop is very good hazard removal. As you see, like, nothing here removes hazards, and one of the Pokemon is weak to it, and pretty much my entire team can be weak to it. So I needed hazard removal, and I got a bunch of hazard removal in these last few rounds, but this thing is just very good. Not much to say about it, but it does like stuff like Rapid Spin. It gets Intimidate, which is awesome. Helps some of my frailer stuff take more attacks, and it gets stuff like Technician, and it gets all sorts of priority. It gets Mach Punch, Bullet Punch, Sucker Punch, and if you combine that all with its not bad attack stat, then you have a problem, because Hitmontop can just be like a problem. Like, that's the only way to put it. We're going to be naming it Aunt Nellis because upside down it looks like it's whipping. It looks like it's whipping upside down. That's um, and so for our next pick, we got Ambipom. I'm going to name it Arjun. Ambipom is a really special Pokemon. Kind of like Burberlic. But Ambipom is very special because it's good. It's really good at doing what it does, and what it does is it fake outs, returns, U-turns the hell out of there. It can even like fire off knockoffs, and it just does that really well because of Technician. And it's like an incredible wall breaker. I have a bunch of wall breakers, and I have some faster stuff and some stuff that can sweep, like my Sceptile and my like I have wall breakers that can also function as sweepers, which is very good. And so I'm looking for Ambipom to be able to put in a ton of work if I don't mess up. So the next Pokemon we drafted was Skuntank. This is more about that hazard removal. I was gonna get Golbat, then I realized Skuntank might actually be better for my team because it gives me that Fairy Killer coverage, and Fairy Killer coverage is always nice. And of course I've got that Heatran, but I still like Skuntank on my team. It's just a good Pokemon. Just Pursuit Trapping is always good. Like, I drafted a ton of Pursuit Pokemon. I have to check if this thing actually gets Pursuit, which I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah, gets Pursuit. This thing, we're going to be calling it Tomato, because if you get skunked, you need tomato juice. Now, this next pick, I made it because I wanted to, I basically, if anybody copied my Mamo, they were going to 6-0 me. And I did not want that, because Mamo destroys my team. And Ditto is also just a very good Pokemon to have, because if you can scout out what sets your opponent has, that can come in huge at certain times, and that's great. I love the ability to scout exactly what my opponent has. So, of course, this thing gets Imposter, and of course, the only move it gets is Transform, but, like, whatever. Like, it's still going to put in a ton of work if I can play it right. Of course, it's pretty much always going to be run like Scarf, so that I can outspeed everybody's things no matter what, basically. But either way, it's just very effective. So we've got ourselves in here, Cradilly. Now, this pick wasn't necessary, but it was nice to have. I needed more Stealth Rocks, and I just didn't have enough Stealth Rocks, so, here, and I'm gonna name it Dandic. Don't ask me why. But anyways, this thing just does very good at what it is. Very good at what it does. It's very good spit F wall. It's got a lot of special defense, which is amazing, and it's just a very good Pokemon to have. It's Rock, and it's Stealth Rocks, and it can curse Giga Drain. Does it? I don't know if it Leech Seeds or not. No, it actually doesn't, but it's got stuff like Synthesis. Well, I wouldn't ever run Synthesis because Recover is a thing, and no Charizard Y was drafted. But that's not the point. The point is, this thing could be very good. And our last Pokemon, more hazard removal, Mantine. I would name it Mulan, because man, So I needed more Defog and Scald. I didn't need to make this pick. I didn't really need to make these last two picks, but they were nice to have. And also, look at this. If something is going to Thunderbolt my Mantine, because that's the most effective way to deal with it, I can get into my Sceptile, they can Thunderbolt that, and I can get a special attack boost, which is pretty darn cool. So it synergizes super well with Sceptile, and it makes people think twice about whether or not they're going to click an electric move or not, and that's just something I love. And it gets stuff like Defog, Air Slash. It's also super bulky on the Spadef side. I didn't have many Spadef walls at this point. But anyway, so that's going to be the team. I think we've got a pretty solid roster. That's what I said about our UPL draft, and we're 1-3 with that UPL draft. We haven't been winning a lot lately. We used to win a lot more in other leagues. Maybe I'm just not focused, but I gotta really like try to get some wins, cause Like, I've got some teams right here. And you'll see them in the videos with the actual battles in them. But anyways, I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Peace out, bruh.